The scene in the courtroom was one of intense anticipation. Cameras flashed from every corner as Elon Musk, one of the world's most famous billionaires and tech moguls, took his seat at the defendant's table. He had become a larger-than-life figure, known for his groundbreaking ventures like Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink. But now, he was facing a very different challenge, a legal battle that could affect his public image and business empire. On the other side sat Chief Justice John Roberts, a calm, composed figure in his judicial robes. With years of experience in high-profile cases, Roberts was known for his level-headed approach and ability to maintain order in even the most heated courtroom debates. But today, there was an underlying tension. The eyes of the nation were fixed on this case, and both Musk and Roberts knew that anything could happen in the volatile mix of high-profile personalities and media attention. The trial was not just about legalities, it was a spectacle. Musk, known for his unfiltered social media presence and outspokenness, had been accused of actions that some believed overstepped legal boundaries. His reputation as a visionary had made him a target of both admiration and criticism. On the other hand, Roberts, having witnessed many battles for justice, was unimpressed by celebrity status. He was here to maintain the integrity of the court and uphold the law. As the proceedings began, Musk's defense team attempted to sway the jury, explaining the context of his actions and emphasizing his role in pushing innovation and technological advancements. Musk's presence was commanding, his posture defiant yet controlled. But little did anyone know, the storm was brewing in the courtroom. Judge Roberts, ever the professional, began to lose his composure as Musk's statements became more erratic, pushing the boundaries of what was appropriate for a courtroom. There was a clear sense that this wasn't just a legal matter, it was becoming personal. Musk's bravado and outspokenness were slowly wearing thin, and Roberts could see it. This wasn't a typical case. Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur, wasn't someone who played by the usual rules, and Judge Roberts would soon discover that pushing Musk too far could have unexpected consequences. Tension simmered in the courtroom, and soon it would explode. The courtroom had reached a boiling point. Musk's defense team had delivered their opening arguments, but it was clear that the real fireworks were yet to come. The tension in the air was palpable as the attorneys for both sides exchanged words, each trying to sway the jury, but it was Elon Musk's behavior that was starting to dominate the proceedings. As the questioning continued, Musk began to speak more and more freely, almost to the point of being dismissive of the court. Judge Roberts, seated at the bench with his gavel poised, was having a difficult time maintaining control. Musk's reputation for being outspoken and controversial had followed him into the courtroom, and it was becoming increasingly clear that this trial was not going to follow a conventional path. Mr. Musk, I will remind you once again to keep your answers relevant to the case at hand, Judge Roberts said, his voice firm but calm. The words hung in the air, yet Musk didn't immediately respond. Instead, he gave a slight smile, leaned back in his chair, and glanced toward the media cameras. It was as though he was daring Roberts to push further, as though he knew that all eyes were on him. This was not a typical defendant. This was Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, the man who had conquered the frontier of private space travel and redefined the electric car industry. And now, it seemed, he was being asked to follow the rules of a traditional courtroom, a place where power was not measured in billions, but in the respect for law and order. Musk, however, was about to learn that the rules in a courtroom were very different from the ones that applied to the business world. Judge Roberts tried again, his voice a little sharper this time. I will not tolerate disruptions in this court, Mr. Musk. This is a place for legal matters, not theatrics. Musk's response was quick and sharp. Theatrics? Judge, I'm simply answering your questions in the way I see fit. If you want me to conform to the standard procedure, maybe you should check the world we live in. I'm not in a courtroom every day, but my companies move the world forward every single day. The audacity in Musk's voice seemed to reverberate through the room. The entire courtroom fell silent. The defense team looked on nervously, while the prosecution smiled, knowing this could be the opening they needed to paint Musk as arrogant and dismissive of the law. The tension between Musk and Roberts had escalated to a point where it seemed as though nothing could hold it back now. Judge Roberts' face remained expressionless, but beneath the surface, his patience was wearing thin. He knew the stakes of this trial, how much media attention and public scrutiny it had garnered. He also understood the weight of the words he was about to say, but this was not just a case of business dealings gone awry. It was a matter of respect, of order, and most importantly, of maintaining the integrity of the justice system. Taking a deep breath, Roberts raised his gavel and called for silence. I will not tolerate any further disrespect in my courtroom, Mr. Musk. You have been warned. His voice was cold, calculated, and final. The room seemed to hold its breath as the gavel came down, a signal that things were about to get even more intense. Musk leaned forward, his expression unreadable, and for a brief moment, it seemed as though the billionaire was about to make a move that would shake the entire courtroom to its core. The tension was unbearable now. The courtroom, once filled with the usual sounds of legal arguments, had fallen into a heavy, almost suffocating silence. It was as if the air itself had become thick with anticipation, and every eye was on Judge Roberts. His hand tightened around the gavel, the small, powerful symbol of his authority in the room. Musk's earlier remarks had clearly crossed a line, and Roberts had reached his limit. Mr. Musk, Judge Roberts said, his voice icy with authority, you have pushed this court too far. I will not allow this kind of behavior to continue. This is a court of law, not a circus. And if you continue to disregard my orders, I will have no choice but to have you removed. The words struck like a thunderclap. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. The defense team exchanged uneasy glances, their faces paling. Musk, for the first time, seemed to register the gravity of the situation. He looked at Roberts, then around the room, and his earlier confidence seemed to falter ever so slightly. Are you threatening me, Judge? Musk responded, his voice steady but with a trace of defiance still present. The billionaire entrepreneur, who had built empires and navigated countless high-stakes negotiations, was clearly uncomfortable being cornered like this. His usual bravado wasn't working here. I am not threatening you, Mr. Musk, Judge Roberts replied, his voice calm but firm. I'm making it clear that you will not be allowed to disrespect this court. I warned you, and you have ignored that warning. The next step is not one I take lightly. But if you cannot behave in a manner befitting a trial, then I will have you escorted out of this courtroom. The room was frozen, the tension reaching its peak. No one dared to move, no one even dared to breathe too loudly. The eyes of every journalist, every court officer, and every onlooker were fixed on Musk, watching his every reaction. This was a pivotal moment, not just in the trial, but in the public perception of Elon Musk. Musk, who had become a symbol of ambition and unrelenting confidence, now found himself staring down a situation he couldn't talk his way out of. For a moment, there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes, and in that instant, it became clear that the stakes had been raised. Judge Roberts, without skipping a beat, raised his hand to the court officer standing nearby. Officer, remove Mr. Musk from this courtroom immediately. The officer, a tall and imposing figure, approached Musk with a steely gaze. Musk, still sitting, looked up, his mind racing. The realization seemed to hit him like a cold wave. He was being asked to leave. But even then, his pride wouldn't let him go down quietly. Is this how the law works? Musk asked, almost to himself. You silence those who challenge you. Judge Roberts didn't respond immediately. Instead, he motioned for the officer to act. The officer stepped forward, but Musk, still unyielding, stood up slowly. His face was unreadable as he looked at Judge Roberts one last time. It was as if the billionaire was sizing up the man who had just made an unprecedented decision to have him removed. Do you really want to do this? Musk asked, his voice lowering. You're making a huge mistake. The officer didn't flinch. With swift precision, he gestured for Musk to leave, and at that moment, the court erupted into whispers. Some murmured in disbelief, others in awe. The world's most famous entrepreneur was being escorted out of a courtroom. Musk was no longer the one in control. As the officer guided Musk towards the door, the courtroom remained in stunned silence. The gavel came down once more, a loud and final statement from Judge Roberts. Court is adjourned. The room remained eerily quiet, the weight of the moment pressing down on everyone. The tension was palpable, like a thick fog that refused to lift. Elon Musk, the billionaire mogul, the genius behind Tesla and SpaceX, was being escorted out of the courtroom. Yet before leaving, he paused, and for a brief moment, the world held its breath. The officer's firm grip on his arm was the only thing that kept Musk from standing still in the middle of the room. He was a man used to being in control, to calling the shots, but now he was being forced out of a courtroom by a judge who had seen enough. However, Musk was not ready to walk away quietly. Not yet. As the officer nudged him forward, Musk turned to face Judge Roberts one last time. His face, usually so composed and confident, now bore the faintest trace of frustration. But beneath that, there was something else, something colder, more calculated. This wasn't just a man trying to save face. This was a billionaire who understood the power of words, and he was about to use them in a way that would shock everyone present. You think you've won today, Judge? Musk's voice rang out, cutting through the heavy silence like a blade. The officer, startled by the sudden outburst, hesitated for a moment, but Musk's glare told him to hold his ground. Judge Roberts didn't flinch, his gaze steady and unwavering. I'm not here to win, Mr. Musk. I'm here to uphold the law. But Musk wasn't listening anymore. His eyes narrowed as he took a step back from the officer and, with a slight tilt of his head, said in a voice that was sharp and deliberate, "You have no idea who you're dealing with. This isn't over. You've made a mistake, and you'll regret it." The room seemed to freeze, every person present processing his words. Musk was leaving, but his statement hung in the air like a storm cloud, ominous and filled with threat. His words had a power of their own, deliberate, calculated, and undeniably chilling. At that moment, the reality of what had just transpired began to settle in. The billionaire tech mogul, known for his larger-than-life persona and his unfiltered remarks, had just been thrown out of court. But more than that, his final words were a warning, a promise that this wasn't the last time anyone would hear from him. The officer gently urged Musk towards the door once more, but Musk hesitated for just a second longer. He turned his head slightly, his eyes flashing with defiance, and gave the courtroom one last glance. His words echoed through the room. "Mark my words, Judge. This isn't over, and I always get the last laugh." With that, Musk walked out of the courtroom, his back straight and his head held high, as if he had just delivered a powerful message that would resonate far beyond those walls. The door closed behind him, and the courtroom was left in stunned silence. Judge Roberts, unmoved by Musk's threats, finally spoke, his voice breaking the stillness. "Court is dismissed." But even as the gavel came down, it was clear the drama was far from over. Musk's words weren't just a statement. They were a challenge, a declaration of the war that had only just begun. As the doors to the courtroom slammed shut behind Elon Musk, the silence that followed was not just the absence of noise. It was the quiet before the storm. The entire courtroom had just witnessed a billionaire, known for his tech empire and controversial remarks, get thrown out by a judge. But what made the situation truly shocking were Musk's final words. They had not only stunned everyone in the room, but they were now echoing across media outlets, social platforms, and business forums. His audacity had sparked an immediate, explosive reaction from all corners of the world. The first to speak out was a prominent business news outlet. A reporter on live television described the scene as nothing short of a media spectacle. It was the kind of controversy that quickly turned into viral content, with pundits and analysts immediately dissecting Musk's final statement. Some believed it was a careless outburst from a man who couldn't handle being challenged, while others saw it as a calculated move, a way to keep his name on the public radar and maintain his powerful image, even in the face of legal setbacks. Social media, however, was where the real storm began to brew. Within minutes of Musk's departure from the courtroom, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook were flooded with reactions. The hashtags #MuskThreats, #Elon Musk, and #Judge Roberts quickly trended worldwide as millions began to debate what Musk had meant with his chilling words. "Mark my words, Judge. This isn't over, and I always get the last laugh. That's not just a warning, it's a declaration of war," one tweet read, accompanied by a clip of Musk's last moments in the courtroom. There were those who questioned the billionaire's motivations, calling out his arrogance, while others defended his right to stand up for himself. A few went so far as to speculate on Musk's next move. "If anyone could make this personal vendetta public, it's Elon," one tech commentator stated. "This isn't the first time he's publicly defied authority, and it certainly won't be the last." But what truly ignited the conversation was the wave of speculation surrounding Musk's next steps. Some believed that Musk's words were the start of a larger battle, one that would involve the tech mogul's immense resources and influence. His final comment about regretting it had the world wondering. Was Musk preparing for a legal counterattack? Was this part of a larger strategy to undermine Judge Roberts, or perhaps the entire court system? News outlets quickly began reporting on Musk's past defiant behavior, bringing up instances where he had publicly clashed with government agencies and regulatory bodies. His companies, especially Tesla and SpaceX, had faced legal scrutiny before, and many wondered if this was just another chapter in his ongoing battle against the establishment. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, commentators and public figures, many of whom had long criticized Musk's controversial statements, seized the moment to call for accountability. He thinks he can get away with anything, one politician said in a televised interview. We've seen his disregard for rules before, but this is a step too far. Yet, amid the fierce reactions, there were those who took Musk's side, interpreting his final words as a testament to his resilience. Elon Musk doesn't back down, said one of his close associates. He's a fighter. If he says this isn't over, you can bet on it. As the world reacted, one thing became clear. Elon Musk had once again captured the public's attention, and whether it was in defiance, anger, or admiration, his influence was undeniable. The fallout from his courtroom clash was far from over, and the questions surrounding it would linger for days, if not weeks. Just hours after the explosive courtroom scene, Elon Musk reemerged, not as a defeated man, but as a strategic powerhouse ready to rewrite the narrative. The world had barely processed his dramatic ejection from court, and already he was mobilizing his next move. Musk didn't waste time posting cryptic tweets or giving interviews. Instead, he took to X, formerly Twitter, with a statement that sent another shockwave. Truth doesn't bow to the bench. It builds rockets. In true Musk fashion, he was signaling not submission, but retaliation. His tweet alone garnered over 15 million views within the first hour. Influencers, tech entrepreneurs, and journalists scrambled to interpret it. Was he mocking the judge? Was he preparing a legal fight back? Or was this simply Musk reclaiming control of the narrative? Whatever the intention, one thing was clear: he wasn't done. Not by a long shot. Behind the scenes, Musk reportedly called an emergency meeting with his top legal and PR teams. Sources close to the matter suggested he was planning a multi-pronged response, not just legal, but public. His goal? To flip the perception, from courtroom villain to visionary wronged by a rigid system. It was a classic Musk strategy: turn every setback into a spectacle, and every spectacle into strength. Within 24 hours, Musk's close ally and renowned attorney released a scathing public statement, accusing the court of bias, political motivation, and targeting innovation. My client is not above the law, but neither should law be weaponized to silence visionaries, she said. The statement trended instantly, drawing support from some of Musk's powerful friends in Silicon Valley and even political figures known for advocating deregulation. Meanwhile, Musk's loyal fanbase amplified his stance. Hashtags like hashtag Justice for Musk and hashtag Elon versus System surged. Influencers shared breakdown videos analyzing the courtroom footage, pointing out how Judge Roberts had allegedly lost his temper and acted with bias. Some clips, slowed down and dissected frame by frame, painted Musk as calm and composed while Judge Roberts appeared agitated and inflexible. But Musk wasn't stopping at media manipulation. Reports leaked that he had initiated a formal complaint against the court for conduct unbecoming and violations of procedural neutrality. The internet lit up with speculation. Would this case now become bigger than a personal legal dispute? Would it ignite a national conversation about power, justice, and the future of innovation? Adding fuel to the fire, Musk companies began dropping subtle hints of his defiance. A Tesla ad aired the next day with the tagline, "We don't follow roads, we build them." SpaceX released a promotional video showing rockets launching over a background voice saying, "You could try to stop us, but we're already out of reach." These weren't coincidences, they were statements. International media also weighed in. While some condemned Musk for his arrogance and disregard for legal decorum, others framed him as a visionary being punished for refusing to conform. European business channels questioned whether the American legal system was stifling its most ambitious thinkers, while tech blogs in Asia praised Musk's unbreakable confidence. It was no longer just about one courtroom argument. It had become a global debate. What happens when vision collides with authority? Elon Musk had made sure of one thing. He may have been kicked out of court, but in the court of public opinion, he was still very much the main character. Just when the drama seemed to have peaked, whispers of a closed-door meeting involving Judge Roberts began to surface, and what they revealed would shift the entire power dynamic. According to insider leaks, within 48 hours of the courtroom explosion, Judge Roberts was summoned to a confidential meeting with several senior government officials, including members of the Judiciary Committee and key legal advisors. The reason? Damage control. Apparently, the footage of Elon Musk being ordered out of court, especially the moment Judge Roberts barked the infamous line, "This courtroom will not be hijacked by ego," had not only gone viral, but was now sparking serious questions about judicial conduct. Legal experts were openly debating whether Roberts had overstepped. More alarmingly, political figures from both sides of the aisle were now weighing in, demanding transparency. This secret meeting wasn't just a routine debrief. Sources claimed it was intense, confrontational, and filled with concern over how Judge Roberts' behavior might undermine public trust in the judicial process. An anonymous source revealed there was yelling, there were threats. Some officials even suggested Roberts temporarily step down until a formal review was conducted. Meanwhile, Musk's legal team was not backing down. In a bold move, they filed an official petition to unseal parts of the courtroom transcripts and video footage that had previously been withheld from public release. Their argument? The full context would show that Musk was provoked, not defiant. The court now found itself under immense pressure. Transparency was no longer optional. It was demanded. Media outlets latched onto this development instantly. Headlines like "Is Judge Roberts hiding something?" and "The trial behind closed doors" flooded news feeds. Late-night hosts even took jabs, portraying Roberts as a judge who couldn't handle a billionaire with opinions. Satirical sketches painted the courtroom as a circus, with Roberts wearing earplugs to block out Musk's genius rants. But beneath the humor, a storm was brewing. Petitions began circulating online, calling for an independent ethics review of Judge Roberts' handling of the case. Legal watchdog groups stepped in, some even threatening to file complaints with the Bar Association. The narrative was no longer about Musk being out of control. It was now about whether the system had gone rogue. At the same time, a mysterious document leaked online, allegedly showing communications between the court and external political advisors just days before the Musk hearing. While not verified, it suggested that Roberts had been under political pressure to make an example out of Musk, an allegation that, if true, could trigger a national scandal. Elon Musk, in typical fashion, responded with a tweet that both mocked and magnified the chaos. Funny how silence makes the loudest noise when you're hiding something. The post, paired with a meme of Roberts covering his ears, got over 25 million impressions within hours. The stakes were now sky high. Judge Roberts wasn't just dealing with a rebellious billionaire anymore. He was now the center of a legal, political, and media firestorm that could threaten his entire career. And for Elon Musk, it was no longer about vindication. It was about exposing the cracks in the very system that tried to silence him. The courtroom was packed. Cameras, journalists, and a nationwide audience tuned in as Elon Musk made his unexpected return. No one knew exactly what he planned to say, but the air was electric, thick with anticipation, tension, and unresolved fury. After days of silence, legal maneuvering, and mounting public pressure, Musk was granted one final statement before the review committee. He walked in calm. No security detail, no legal team at his side, just Elon in a sharp suit, holding a single sheet of paper. As he stepped up to the podium, Judge Roberts stared at him coldly. But this time, the judge wasn't in control. The nation was watching, and Elon Musk knew it. He began softly. "I didn't come here to fight power with power," he said. "I came to question why we punish those who think differently." He recounted his contributions, not as ego-boosting accolades, but to highlight how innovation and disruption have always made people uncomfortable. "From Tesla to SpaceX, I've pushed boundaries. But today, I push one more, the boundary of free speech in a place where it should matter the most, the court." The room was silent. Even Judge Roberts didn't interrupt. Then Musk unfolded the final line on his paper and looked straight into the camera. "This is not about me. This is about every person who's been silenced for asking the wrong question in the right room. If challenging broken systems makes you guilty, then maybe guilt is the new form of courage." Gasps echoed. Several people in the gallery were visibly emotional. Even opposing attorneys lowered their eyes. In that moment, Elon Musk wasn't just a billionaire or a tech mogul. He was the voice of something bigger. Judge Roberts cleared his throat, clearly rattled. But before he could speak, Musk leaned closer to the mic and delivered one final, jaw-dropping sentence. "I may be removed from your courtroom, Judge Roberts, but history has just sentenced you." The courtroom exploded. Reporters rushed to file updates. Social media platforms lit up like wildfires. Hashtags like hashtag Elon versus system, hashtag judge by the judge, and hashtag must final words trended across platforms. Major outlets broke into regular programming to air the clip. Late-night shows replayed the mic drop moment, calling it the most defiant sentence ever delivered in a courtroom. That night, even those who disliked Elon Musk admitted he had done something extraordinary. He'd used a courtroom, once hostile, to shine a light on issues larger than himself. A public opinion poll released 24 hours later showed a dramatic shift. 72% of respondents said they sided with Musk. And within a week, discussions began about reevaluating courtroom transparency and judicial accountability. As for Judge Roberts, a formal ethics inquiry was launched. His once firm grip on authority now trembled under the weight of scrutiny, ridicule, and public demand for justice. But Elon? He left that courtroom without saying another word because he didn't need to. His message had already echoed far beyond those four walls. His voice had become the verdict.